Hey everybody, we are live. Welcome back to the Social Rescue Group. We are continuing our Back to Basics series on just getting back to the basics of taking care of yourself at even just the most basic level. And so, we know that the last almost 2 years have been really hard on everyone in the world. And so it's so important to maintain a positive mindset despite what is going on in the world. And so I'm super excited because today for this training, I have joining us a good friend of mine from years back. And thank God for social media, because we've just maintained our social media friendship. And I've been able to watch Adie just grow over the last couple of years into her life coaching business. And so we have a life coach joining us today. And so we go as far back as our college days. We had, was it chemistry? Were we in chem?
I think so.
Yeah, it was chem lab, chemistry. And thank God for her, because chem was not my thing. She was super smart.
No, I'm like, you literally helped me pass chemistry. Literally.
I literally barely made it. I was like, a C is for me. That was when my standards started to decrease in my type A personality when it came to chemistry class.
I love it. C's get degrees.
Exactly. But that's how far back we go. So like over a decade. Okay. Yeah. And what I've always loved about you is that you've always been a positive person, like as long as I can remember. And you were the reason why I connected to you is because you were literally like just the sweetest person in the world. And I just loved being in your space. So now I'm so excited that I get to share with you with other women in my space, because I know that what you're going to share with them today has so much value, and you're going to share with them then how they can connect with you on social media and stuff. But without further ado, I'm going to let you share your story, and then I'll come back at the end and we'll close everything out. Okay?
Sounds great.
Right, here we go.
Hi. So my name is Adrienne, and I'm a life coach. I love what I do. And I just want to tell you a little bit. I got interested in life coaching maybe like a year and a half ago, and my life was good. Like, I was happily married. I have two really beautiful kids, had jobs that I was enjoying, but I just was unhappy. I was just like stuck in this routine. It felt very mundane. There wasn't a lot of joy. There wasn't a lot of adventure. And I was just like, I'm over this. I cannot do this forever. There's no way that this is sustainable for me. And so I started doing some research. I started listening to some podcasts, and I found life coaching, and I started implementing like some of the things that they had on their podcasts and then the books that I was reading. And it has honestly changed my life forever. Like, I will never be the same. And so now what I do is I coach clients one-on-one, and I empower them how to change their lives through just absolutely loving who they are. And I want to do that so that they can see their worth, so that they can not depend on other people to create happiness for them, and so that they stop people pleasing. And it is the best. I love it. So I am also have a doctorate in physical therapy, and I do that per diem, just like when I want. It is so fun to work with my patients. I've been married to my husband, Kent, for the last 11, almost 12 years. He's awesome. And we have two wild, sweet boys who are 3 and 6. And we just got a new puppy. So our house is full and busy, but it is really fun. So I know your theme for this year is a positive mindset in 2022. And so I want to just share with you 4 ways on how you can create that mindset as you go forward through this year. So real quick, the 4 things are going to be being aware of what's going on in your brain. So what are you thinking? The second thing is being able to learn how to speak positively to yourself. The third thing is learning how to tolerate and process negative emotions. And then the last thing is surrounding yourself with people who encourage you and who challenge you. All right, let's dive in. So the first thing, I know this sounds wild, but I want you to start to be aware of what's actually going on in your brain. I think most of us are extremely unaware of what we are thinking. And as a life coach, I know that our thoughts are what create our feelings, not our circumstances. So you might think like what's going on around you is what's creating your feeling, when in fact you're having a thought that is creating a feeling for you. Your feeling is what drives you into action, and your actions are what are going to create results for you. Okay. So if we are focusing on having more positive thoughts, you're going to have more positive feelings, creating and kind of driving you into more action, creating more positive results for you in this upcoming year. Okay. So we have around 70,000 thoughts a day. That's insane. That is so many thoughts. And I think most of us are really unaware of what we are thinking. And so I want us to start paying attention to that. And so that we can start to really create that positive mindset. I think being aware of your positive thoughts is just as important as being aware of your negative thoughts. Okay. So that kind of brings me to our next point, is that another way to maintain a positive mindset is to start to speak positively to yourself. And that's just not like, go get them, like you got this, right? It is actually about creating a space for you in your life that feels safe, that feels encouraging, and a place that's compassionate. It's almost like, and that goes to especially when we make mistakes, you want to create a really soft place for you to land that is not a place where you beat yourself up. It's not a place where you tell yourself how terrible you are, right? Because what we want to do is cultivate a safe place for you by creating positive self-talk. So, research shows that people who have and practice more positive self-talk, they are better at problem solving. They're more efficient during hardships, and they cope better with stress and anxiety. Right? Like that's pretty awesome. The other thing that it shows, it has like really incredible health benefits by speaking positively to yourself. You will have a greater life satisfaction. You'll have an increased lifespan. You'll improve your immunity, wild, right? And you will lower your stress and depression levels. Like that's insane, just by speaking kindly to yourself. So I think a lot of us are pretty unaware of how poorly we speak to ourselves, especially when we make a mistake. And I think learning how to love who you are will help you create kindness for yourself, speak more gently to yourself, and create that better, more positive self-talk as you move into the new year. So I want to give you a little bit of an example of like what I mean by the positive self-talk and how it will create positive results for you. So let's say you're getting ready for like a presentation, or you need to like practice a new skill for work, or for school, or whatever you're in right now, right? And your thought is, I'll never be able to do that, right? That is your thought. And we know that your thought is going to create some sort of feeling for you. So the thought, I'll never be able to do that, maybe that creates a feeling of defeat for you. And so what do you do when you feel defeated? Because I know what I do. When I feel defeated, I just shut down. Like I avoid, I do not want to like prepare for said presentation, right? I don't want to like expose myself to that at all. And I usually just like avoid it and back away, right? So my action is actually a lot of inaction. I don't research, I don't prepare. And what I do, what that creates for me is that I either don't do the presentation or I don't attempt the skill. It's almost like I make myself fail ahead of time and then gain evidence like, see, I told you you couldn't do that. See? And then your brain continues in that negative talk cycle. Does that make sense? Versus practicing something that it might not sound like you can do it, right? Because your brain might not actually think that you can do it. But to spin it more positively, you might want to say something to yourself like, I could try that. See how that is not, it's not a negative thought, and it's not like a go get 'em. It's sort of like neutral, but a little bit positive, right? Like I could try that. And when you have a thought like that, that might create a feeling of like bravery or curiosity for you. And when you feel brave or curious, you might encourage yourself, like, yeah, we could do that. We could at least try it, right? You might do some research for your presentation. You might talk to other people who've attempted the skill that you're going to try, or have spoken to the people that you're going to present to. You actually prepare for what's coming. See how your actions are very different? And what happens is then your result is different because your actions drive that result. And your result is then you do the presentation, you attempt the skill, right? You don't avoid, you don't shut down. You actually make something happen. Your thoughts are so powerful, okay? The third way to increase a positive mindset in 2022 is to learn how to tolerate discomfort and allowing yourself to feel negative emotion. And I know this sounds 100% counterintuitive to maintaining a positive mindset in this upcoming year. But I guarantee you that if you learn how to tolerate and process negative emotion, it will move more quickly. You will actually be able to improve your positivity. You will have more energy and you will be so much less distracted and much more productive. Okay, so just bear with me on this point. This feels a little bit off, but if you want to be happier and more positive in this upcoming year, then I want you to really learn how to increase your emotional intelligence, right? So your ability to understand and manage your emotions. And those aren't just the positive emotions, which are the ones we love, but it also is the negative emotions, right? Because our life is not all positive. Even if you have the most perfect life, things happen outside of our control that do not feel positive. And so I think it's important for us to learn how to really tolerate those and press them. So when something negative happens, I don't want you to just like gloss over it. I want you to sort of like recognize it and create some space for it to be there. Like, okay, because when you process your negative feelings, you will not only like allow yourself to function better with less distraction, but it will allow you to connect to people better and have energy to whatever you want. Like, where do you want to put your energy towards in your life? What is your priority? It will allow you to do that. If you like, when you say something like something negative happens and you're like, oh, it's not that bad, it could be worse, no worries, it's all good, right? What that is doing, it's almost like we are gaslighting ourselves by just saying like, oh, no big deal, it's totally fine, when in fact it is a big deal, when in fact I am worrying a lot, when in fact like it is not good, it is not fine, right? And so see how that's like avoiding the negative? We waste so much energy avoiding negative emotions. We still feel terrible, right? When we're like, it's all good. We still feel that negative emotion, but we're doing everything we can to distract ourselves and not feel it. And so, what I want to allow you, like, you could put that energy towards anything else that you want, towards people you love, towards your business, towards yourself, instead of trying to like, it's almost like holding a beach ball underwater, right? Like you're trying to suppress it so that you don't feel anything negative, but eventually it's gonna pop up out of the water. Okay. So, like, you're still feeling terrible, but you're like, it's all good. So, what you're doing is you're pretending, right? You're faking it. And here's the thing is people, they can see when you're faking it. Like they know when you're not genuine. And it's really dishonest and it's pretty robotic. And so there's something real and comforting about a person who can be calm in the midst of chaos. A person who like allows themselves to not always feel amazing, but then also gives people permission to do the same, right? There's like an ease with this person. There's a trust that's associated with them, and it allows you to connect to people. And so I really want to encourage you to be that person that is like connects with yourself, and so that you can just really have an incredibly positive mindset in this upcoming year. If you allow yourself to process the negative emotions more quickly, acknowledge them, feel them, you'll be able to move on to your positive mindset much more quickly with a lot more energy. The last thing I want to tell you about how to do a positive and maintain a positive mindset in this upcoming year is surround yourself with people who just love you, who encourage you, who push you towards your goals, and people who just really love themselves. Because research shows that if you surround yourself with people who are happier with a more positive mindset, you increase your happiness by 10%. That's huge. Just by like being around and hanging out with these people, you get 10% more happiness. And what's really interesting is that people just observing you, not even like in your conversation or directly connected to you, research shows that their happiness increases by almost 6% just by being around you. That's huge. Be that positive influence and that positive mindset for yourself in this upcoming year. Like that's pretty awesome. So I just want to recap quickly for you. Okay, so the top 4 things that are going to improve your positive mindset in 2022, and I'm going to give you some examples of how to practice each of those. So the first one we said was just being aware of what you're thinking, right? We know that your thoughts create your feelings are going to drive your actions, and your actions are going to create results for you. So how are you going to be aware of your thoughts? One thing that I love to do is writing down, like not journaling, because I'm not actually thinking about what I'm writing down. I just sort of like unfiltered write down all the thoughts that I'm thinking. I set a timer, just make myself do it for like 2 minutes, not even very long. And mine look wild. I'll be on a stream of thoughts, and then all of a sudden my brain will be like, don't forget to buy milk. And then it'll be like on this whole stream of thoughts. So just let your brain do whatever it wants to do. There's no judgment on these. It's just like free flowing. And then what I like to do is go back and read it over, because a lot of times you will be shocked at what your brain is paying attention to. What is it thinking about? Because that will determine what you create in your life and how positive or negative you're going to feel in this upcoming year, right? The other thing is like, you can set an alarm on your phone so that it goes off like every hour, every 2 hours, just to create a stop and think moment for you, so that you're like, oh yeah, what am I thinking about right now? Paying attention to where your thoughts are directed. Maybe you daydream a lot and you don't even know that you're beating yourself up or critiquing yourself throughout the day. And we want to start to get you really, really aware of that. The second thing was start using that positive self-talk and positive, like the compassion. And a way that I want you to do that might be just like writing a list of things that you love about yourself, or a list of your accomplishments that you've done in the past year, or really anything in the past that just like creates a sense of pride and makes you feel really good. And if you struggle with like self-love, positive self-talk, you may need to read this list every single morning before you tackle your day. You have it out on your nightstand and you're like, yes, I am so, so kind. Yes, I'm an incredible problem solver. Yes, I love my kids to death. Yes, like whatever it is, to remind yourself. I used to drive a lot for work. And so one of the things that I did was I actually wrote out and put sticky notes on my dashboard and on my laptop, positive things for myself, things that I love about myself, things that I think I'm really incredible at. Because the car was a place where I would daydream and actually beat myself up. And I wasn't aware of that. And once I became aware of that, I wanted to redirect my thoughts into a positive mindset so that I could create more positive things in my life. Okay. The third way is learning how to tolerate discomfort and negative feelings, as well as processing them so that you can just move on with your day and feel better in general. So this could look like reminding yourself that people don't feel happy 100% of the time, right? That like if you do, you're either lying or you're like very robotic, right? It's like there's just certain things like when people pass, you don't want to feel happy about that. It's normal for you not to feel okay. And so reminding yourself that like, I'm not going to feel like this forever. This is a normal feeling that anyone would get if something like this happened to me. And it might also look like taking a minute when you feel a really big emotion to just sit with it. Like, I'm not going to try to replace this with a positive thought. I'm just going to feel discouraged for a minute. It's not going to destroy me. It's just going to make me feel uncomfortable, probably. Right? But allowing that process to happen will allow you to actually be more productive and move on more quickly rather than just trying to ignore it, because when you ignore it, it actually like magnifies the feeling. It might mean like crying or punching a pillow or like yelling in your car when you're by yourself. It may look like taking a walk and just letting yourself feel like sad, guilty, discouraged, whatever it is. You just might need a minute to yourself to let yourself feel that. I guarantee that negative emotion will clear out more quickly so that you can get back to that positive mindset. And the last thing is, I want you to surround yourself with people who just believe in themselves, who are kind to themselves, who encourage you to reach your goals, and they encourage themselves to do the same. Okay. I guarantee if you follow these 4 points, you will have such a positive mindset in this upcoming year. I cannot wait to see what you create, how you thrive, and how your productivity and your positivity increases over the next year. I am psyched for you. So if you have any questions, you just want to chat with me, you can find me on Facebook, just Adrienne Himmelright, or on Instagram at @Himmelright. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. I was taking
Thanks.
notes here as I was like making notes, and then Regan came in and spilled her popsicle. So I was like running out to get paper towels, and I was like, wait, I don't want to miss anything that you're saying. It was so good.
Oh,
Okay.
you're so sweet.
So I have to affirm you in some of the things that I heard that I absolutely love that I've never thought of this way. So one of the things was, and I like to call them a brain dump. I brain dump at the beginning of every week on like a Saturday or Sunday on the weekend about all the things I need to do. And then I use that to make my schedule for the week. But I love how you talked about just brain dumping your thoughts in general.
Yeah.
Like not journaling them, but just like, here is what I'm thinking, and I'm just writing it down as I think, and how that can truly make us aware of when we're beating ourselves up. I also love that you talked about yourself doing it in the car, you noticed. And as you were saying that, I'm like, that's probably when I do it too, because it is when I daydream the most, or the shower. Like I always say, the shower is when I come up with my best ideas, but it's also probably when I might have some negative self-talk too. So it's like, okay, I need to be aware of that. And another important thing was that people don't feel happy 100% of the time. Like just remembering that, because it is so important. I think sometimes when we aren't happy, or we're not happy in certain situations, we can almost feel guilty.
Like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
Like,
and
nothing. You're
nothing is wrong.
It's
and we were kind of talking about this beforehand, but you know, people looked at me like I was insane when I left my full-time job to pursue entrepreneurship. But I wasn't happy. And it was okay for me to understand that I'm not going to be happy 100% of the time. And I'm still probably not going to be happy 100% of the time, even after I leave this unhappy situation. But I have more control over how I can react and be proactive.
And can create more happiness, possibly because you have the opportunity to do anything you want.
And so, and you know, I think sometimes in life, like, you know, for me, it was, I had some postpartum depression that I didn't even really realize until I came out of it, you know, because sometimes you don't realize when you're in it. But it's like, I had these beautiful children, and it was like, but I wasn't happy because everything was kind of crazy. But it's okay. Like, I didn't have to feel guilty. I could just absorb how I felt and feel my feelings and then move forward from them. So I love that you shared that. And then the other thing I loved is just your number 4 tip of surrounding yourself with people who are positive, you know, are goal oriented. They want you to reach your goals. They want themselves to reach their goals. You know, that's what this group and this community that we've created in this group is really all about. We've wanted just a positive place. And I know for those of us in the group who are Mary Kay Independent Beauty Consultants, we know that that's what we love about our pink bubble, is that community that we don't really find anywhere else. So I love that this group has become that for people. So just remember, for those of you who are watching, that that's our goal in this group, is to provide you with, you know, positive, like-minded women who are, you know, on the same track of mind. And you can weed out the negative. I always tell people, and this is a tip that I hear time and time again in podcasts that I listen to, is you're most like the 5 people you hang around the most.
Mm-hmm.
So check your circle.
Yeah.
And so that is something to think about going into the new year, is look at your circle. Like, is your circle of people super negative? Are they, always, my kids call them Debbie Downers. Like, are they being Debbie Downer all the time? Because how they act, you're absorbing that. And what you think about is what you bring about in your life. So you're going to model what you're around. So these tips were just so amazing. I just want to thank you so much for your time today. And definitely connect with her on Instagram and Facebook, because I'm telling you, these stories are amazing. Like, I was just telling her before I got to hop on, I'm like, I love all your Instagram stories and everything. Like, they're just awesome. So thank you, everybody. All right. Well, everybody have a great weekend. We'll be back on Wednesday with another series. Sorry, Emmy just came in. Real life. Say hi to everyone. She's like, no, I just want Elsa. I can't get Elsa's shoes off right now. Elsa's shoes are not coming off. All right. Well, we'll see everyone on Wednesday night, and have a great week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.